Hey guys, it's Simon. This is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 12th of June 2020 to talk about everything. I was moving my mic and accidentally unplugged my mic. With that, we're here to talk about everything that went down tonight on Friday night. A Smackdown. I thought tonight's show was a very solid show. Let me readjust this. Give me 1 second, guys. I got this new mic stand. It probably looks the same to you guys on camera. But I got a new one because the other one was wearing out. And so I'm still trying to adjust this. There we go. All right. Pop this up here. I thought Smackdown was a pretty good show tonight. I thought that for most of it, it was decent to good. And then we had a probably 5-star Intercontinental Championship title match. And I loved the IC title match. Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles are my two favorite wrestlers in the company. So, I mean, and for everyone asking, why didn't this match happen at Backlash? Because Edge and Orton can't do what these two did tonight. Just saying it right now. And there's other things I'm going to talk about as far as Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles go, as far as the Intercontinental Championship and the decision to put the title on AJ. Once we get to that match, once we get talking about it and everything. But with that, let's see who's here with us in the live chat. We do have Jacko Rowell, Broken King Slender, Glenn Hunt, George John Cox, Mario Owens, Sinclair Saturday, Broken King Slender, already read that name, Kristen McNutt, Chris Gomez, Dark 73, Sinclair Saturday, already read that name, Derek Bocek, NMD Wrestling, and many more of you here watching this stream. As I always say, I want to thank you guys for joining me here tonight. The support is just greatly appreciated. And if you guys want to be a part of the show, you can do so, in a couple of different ways. If you have thoughts, concerns, or questions about tonight's SmackDown or anything else going on, you can text them in to 510-906-1341. Again, that number is 510-906-1341. Also, if you guys want to support us, you can send in a Super Chat donation. All Super Chat donations do get read here on the air, and they're greatly appreciated. So with that, we had SmackDown. And SmackDown kicked off with Renee Young in the ring. And Renee Young, give me a second, this is still not working. There we go. Now I can hear myself. I couldn't hear myself through the microphone. We're all good now. Okay. So SmackDown started off with Renee Young in the ring. And she said that we have to do a contract signing here tonight as far as the match for Backlash with Jeff Hardy and Sheamus does go. So she introduces Sheamus. And Sheamus comes out with a guy in a lab coat who they say was a doctor, security, and a little curtained off box. Where have we seen that curtained off box before? Oh yeah, Shawn Michaels piss test. So on commentary, Michael Cole was surprised that Sheamus didn't come out alone and noted that this is supposed to be a simple contract signing. Sheamus apologized to Young for what's about to happen. He said maybe she stays, maybe she doesn't stay because, well, things are about to get a little personal with Jeff Hardy. Hardy then came out next and noted that Sheamus tried to frame him for everything that happened. And now Sheamus has his own security, so nothing can happen to him. Sheamus pointed out that they're not here to protect him. They're here to protect Hardy. Sheamus demanded that Hardy take a drug test tonight before he would sign the contract and make the match at Backlash official because Sheamus said, and I quote, "I don't want to wrestle a junkie." So Hardy admitted to being an alcoholic. As he says they go to AA meetings every week for it. Hardy wants to be a beacon of light for people like him. He agreed to take the drug test just to ensure that he gets this match with Sheamus. So Sheamus brought in the doctor who's going to administer a rapid drug test. He goes, "Jeff, As you're well aware, you know that it takes 24 hours to get results back, but I've got Dr. I forget his name, so-and-so here. He's going to administer a rapid drug test. So Hardy went behind this little curtain thing and did his business, filled up the jar. Sheamus made a joke because the jar was so full, saying, someone didn't skip happy hour tonight. And I saw all of the jokes online. That pee's so dark. Jeff Hardy's very dehydrated. What's going on with Jeff? It was probably frickin' apple juice. Like watered down apple juice or something. Sheamus started doing a PSA about not doing drugs. Sheamus mocked Hardy and assumed he's going to fail the drug test. Hardy then grabbed the jar of urine and said, "There's always been a saying. I'd rather be pissed off." And then I didn't hear him finish the saying, but he took the urine and he splashed it all in Sheamus' face, and Sheamus went ballistic. Jeff Hardy left, and that's how the segment ended. Jeff signed the contract, but we never saw Sheamus sign the contract. So does that mean the match is not happening at the pay-per-view? Is it happening at the pay-per-view? Again, Sheamus didn't sign the damn contract. So we go to commercial break, and when we come back, Sheamus is in a bathroom, rinsing out his mouth, just going crazy. The doctor walked in and tells Sheamus, I got to tell you that, Hardy's drug test came back negative. And Sheamus was furious about that. This was an okay opening segment for tonight's Smackdown. I didn't like that we're kind of inconclusive as far as if Sheamus is actually going to wrestle the match or not because, he never signed the contract. So going forward, we had a tag team match. Cesaro and Sheamus in a non-title match against the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, The New Day. In an awesome moment, The New Day entered and took a knee in the middle of the ring. Big E was wearing a black armband for Shakuri Abdi, and Kingston wore armbands for Breonna Taylor and Tamala Horsford. Very cool. Very cool. Great moment there on television. Roman Molinar says the match was confirmed a few days ago. No. When you do a contract signing, yes, the match can get announced. But if there is a contract signing and one person doesn't sign the contract, then technically they're not officially agreeing to doing the match. So my whole thing with Sheamus is, if Sheamus didn't sign the contract, does that mean he's not agreeing to wrestle Hardy at Backlash? That's what I'm trying to say here. I get they announced the match and they said the match is going to happen, which it's going to fucking happen. But in storyline, we're supposed to believe that the match may not happen now because, Sheamus never signed that contract. Also, super chat donation from Kristen McNutt. She says this segment, the opening of the show was the Vince Shane versus Shawn, exactly same thing. Correct. Just like the whole Vince McMahon making Shawn Michaels take the piss test on Raw many years ago. So again, we got a non-title match here with the tag team champions, the New Day taking on Cesaro and Nakamura. They went to a break rather quickly, and after the break, Cesaro was firmly in control with the chinlock. Big E fought back, and Kingston got the hot tag. He ran wild on Nakamura and hit a boom drop. Kingston set up for a Trouble in Paradise, but Cesaro interfered. Kingston then hit the SOS for a close near fall. Big E tackled Cesaro over the top rope, and they fell to the floor. Kingston and Nakamura fought on the top rope. Kingston then pushed off Nakamura and hit a flying crossbody. Nakamura got his knees up and rolled up Kingston for the victory. So basically, and they kept teasing this throughout the match on commentary. If Nakamura and Cesaro can defeat the tag champions, they've got to be next in line for the tag titles. If they win tonight, then they won. And then they said again, they've got to be next in line for the tag titles since they defeated the champions tonight. So I assume maybe we get it announced that at the pay-per-view, we're going to get a SmackDown tag team title match. In the back, Otis and Tucker were getting ready for their match. For some reason, Otis had Tucker blindfolded. He kept having he told Tucker that you need to have more senses than just your sight. And so he had him like smelling stuff and feeling stuff or whatever. Mandy then came up and kissed him. He thought it was Tucker at first and then realized it was Mandy when he took the blindfold off. Mandy told Otis that he's going to need this and handed him his Money in the Bank briefcase. Tucker noted that Otis, well, he can cash it in any time, even tonight, again on their tag team partner, Braun Strowman. You know, if the opportunity presents itself. We then got a good video package about the IC title tournament. They looked at the history of the Intercontinental Championship and highlighted several champions, including Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Pat Patterson, Ultimate Warrior, Triple H, Randy Orton, Steve Austin, and The Rock. Then we got a, no pun intended, phenomenal match here. Excellent. In my opinion, I'd give it 5 stars. I'd give it 5 stars, but that's just me. So Bryan and Styles here started off, hard-hitting match right off the bat. Told a great story, went 38 minutes long, 4 commercial breaks, and Bryan had the early advantage. He had the early advantage with the wrist lock. But Styles reversed it. Bryan broke free and rocked Styles with a standing dropkick. Bryan then tossed Styles to the floor and followed it up with a suicide dive. After a break, Bryan was firmly in control and landed several knees to Styles' back. Bryan worked over the left arm. Styles broke free and shot Bryan off the ropes. Styles then rocked Bryan with a standing dropkick. Styles then took over and worked over Bryan's arm. Bryan fought back and caught Styles with the knee to the midsection. He tried to apply a surfboard, but his arm was still hurting. Instead, Bryan worked on Styles' knee and rolled up Styles for a near fall. In an excellent move here, Bryan rocked Styles with knees in the corner. Bryan attempted a running drop kick, and Styles charged into a sunset flip for a near fall. Freaking great. Styles and Bryan then teased a series of quick pinfalls. They both got back to their feet and collided in the middle of the ring. Back from the break, Bryan was back in control and continued to work on Styles' arm. Bryan attempted the yes lock, but Styles fought out and sent him to the floor. Styles leaped over the top of the top rope, actually, and Bryan caught him and sent him shoulder first to the ring post. Bryan stopped Styles' elbow and applied a hammerlock. Bryan pulled way back, and then rolled up Styles. Bryan attempted a running dropkick in the corner, but Styles moved. Bryan crashed and burned in the corner. Styles recovered and nailed Bryan with kicks to the leg. Styles then slammed Bryan's leg on the apron. Styles continued to work on Bryan's leg. Styles tied up Bryan's leg in the ropes and rocked him with some kicks. Bryan fought back and hit Styles with an enziguri. Bryan then placed Styles on the top turnbuckle and hit a Hurricane Rana. Bryan attempted the yes kicks, but Styles ducked, and then they traded some hard strikes. They both went for clotheslines and collided in the middle of the ring once again. Back from another commercial break, Bryan and Styles, they're still trading stiff shots. Bryan launched Styles over the top rope from the floor. He attempted a suicide dive, but Styles cut him off with a kick to the arm. Styles attempted the phenomenal forearm, but Bryan caught him and locked him in an armbar. Styles reversed it into a calf crusher, though. Bryan then countered back into the armbar, then into a triangle. Bryan attempted the Styles clash. Styles attempted the Styles clash, but Bryan broke free. Bryan rocked Styles with a hard kick to the side of the head. Bryan then placed Styles on the top rope. Styles hit Bryan with an elbow and knocked him off. Bryan then recovered and climbed back to the top. Styles knocked Bryan off yet again, and he got right back up. Bryan then hit a belly-to-back suplex off the top turnbuckle. Back from the break, Bryan rocked Styles with some uppercuts. Bryan ran up the turnbuckle and hit the backflip and landed on his bad leg, so Styles hit a reverse DDT. Styles then hit the Pele kick and followed it up with the brainbuster for a very close near fall. Styles at one point attempted the Pele kick again, but Bryan caught the leg and hit him with a German suplex. He held on, and Styles broke free and hit a German suplex of his own. Bryan recovered and hit a series of elbows. Bryan then attempted the yes lock, but Styles made it to the ropes to break the hold. The finish of the match saw Bryan go for Styles' arm and hit the kicks to the head. in an awesome spot. Bryan set up for the running knee, but Styles caught him in the Styles Clash. Styles hit the phenomenal forearm and picked up the victory, winning the Intercontinental Championship. After the match, Renee Young congratulated AJ Styles on becoming the new champion, and AJ said that was nothing short of phenomenal. Now, here's the thing. So, everyone on Twitter was like, cool, what a great match, 5-star match, blah, 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 blah. But I saw a lot of people on Twitter also saying, should have put the title on Daniel Bryan. You should have gave Bryan the title. Since last time he had the Intercontinental Championship, he didn't get to defend it. He had to relinquish it due to injury. Okay? But here's the issue with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's wife is pregnant. Bryan has stated in an interview before that when Brie is about 4, 5, 6 weeks out from giving birth, he's going to start taking time off. Brie right now only has 10 weeks to go. So if you think about it, Bryan could be gone in the next 4 to 5 weeks. And they're not going to do another, the champ just disappears. And they're not going to do a super quick title run. Bryan's not going to hold that title for 2-3 weeks. That's just going to diminish the entire tournament. And here's the other thing. Bryan takes the time off when Brie goes into labor, has the baby, bada boom. I don't know how much time he's getting. 6 weeks maybe, he said, to be home with Brie once she goes into labor. If she goes into labor in 10 weeks, and then you add another 6 weeks to that, there's a chance that Bryan's contract is up. Bryan's contract is up on September 1st. Bryan could be out on maternity leave when his contract actually expires. So there's another issue. You've put the title on Daniel Bryan. He leaves for maternity leave. Boom, your champ's gone, just like your last champ. Then all of a sudden, if that were to happen, which I doubt it would happen, Bryan could leave the company as the champion. There's no, I guess you could say, confirmation that Daniel Bryan resigns with WWE when his contract does come up on September 1st. So the only logical thing here, once we got to the finals of Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles, was to put the title on Daniel Bryan. It was the only thing that really actually made any kind of lick of sense. Because AJ ain't going nowhere. AJ signed a 5-year deal, I think it was, in 2019. AJ re-signed. AJ's locked in. Daniel Bryan, he's a mystery. We don't know if he wants to leave. And again, like I stated, to wrap this little rant up, you also don't, want the winner of your tournament to lose that title within 2-3 weeks if he is taking that time off in the next couple of weeks like he had stated he wants to. Again, within the next 10 weeks, Bryan should be gone for a while when Brie goes into labor, because he already stated on the Bellas podcast he's taking the time off, and WWE has already approved the time off when Brie does have the baby. So, bing, boom, there you go. You got to put that title on AJ because he's the one that can be around for the long term. Again, I'm going to just reiterate, Bryan's going to be taking a leave of absence, going on a little mini vacation here soon when his baby comes. And B, Bryan in 3 months could be gone of WWE. In 3 months, Bryan could not re-sign his contract and be out. So, who are you going to build up? Who you want to put more stock into? The guy that's here. The guy that you know you've got for a couple more years. Not the guy that you think you may have, but in the 12th hour, or whatever that term is, boom, could be gone. Max Wayne says if they put the title on Bryan, WWE would have done the same thing they did with CM Punk at Money in the Bank a couple years ago. No. Because that was a completely different situation. Not the same at all. Because this is, Bryan's going to be taking time off when his wife goes into labor. Punk didn't take time off, and they worked into a storyline that he left the company. He was back in 3 weeks. What if Bryan actually leaves? And it was more known then that Punk's contract was coming up because they turned it into a storyline. They haven't said anything in WWE that, oh, Daniel Bryan's contract is coming up in the next 3 months. So going forward in the back, Universal Champion Braun Strowman. Well, first, they recapped all the silliness with Miz, Morrison, and Strowman last week. Then Strowman cut the most just scripted ass on reading cue cards promo. He said, or he noted, that there's a lot going on tonight between drug tests and new champions. Strowman said he likes Otis, but he's not in a good mood tonight for Otis to cash in on him with Money in the Bank contract. Okay, cool. We then saw Ring Crews setting up for a celebration. Michael Cole says, I don't know what this is. Maybe it's for the new women's tag team champions, Bayley and Sasha Banks. So after a break, they recapped Bayley and Sasha Banks winning the tag titles last week, and then out came, Bayley and Sasha Banks. And interesting enough, the women's tag titles, so one side has the Sasha Banks side plates, the other side has the Bayley side plates. One side has the Boss Time side plates, but the other side of the women's tag titles have the Bayley ponytail side plate. Why? I don't know. Maybe they didn't have any of the just straight Bayley name side plates ready to go. Who knows? So they come out here. Bayley talks about being the most dominant champion in SmackDown history, or SmackDown women's champion in history. She states that the saying is, it's lonely at the top. But for her, it's not, because she's got her best friend, the best ever, or she said the GOAT, the blueprint, the boss, Sasha Banks, always by her side. Banks said that they're role models and leaders. Banks noted that the title represents their friendship. Bayley was about to read a poem about Banks, but Bliss and Cross would interrupt. Bayley was furious here as they interrupted, and then, they said they didn't want to hear a poem, and then the Iconics interrupted, and Bayley's even more mad. They noted that they beat down Bayley and Banks on Raw, and they beat Nikki Cross recently. And if they don't want anything to happen at the pay-per-view, they better watch out. Just like they better watch out right now on SmackDown, because you shouldn't turn your backs to Bliss and Cross, and then, on cue, Bliss and Cross attack the tag champs. Bayley and Sasha Banks were sent packing, and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross teased them and celebrated their little beatdown in the ring. In the back, Kayla Braxton interviewed Miz and Morrison. They kind of apologized for last week's sliming. They was like, hey, it was a cool little birthday gift because people started talking about you. Zubair, I'm live with my face on the camera every recap. So this isn't a face reveal. Every live recap, I'm on camera. Plus, I'm always on camera on my Twitch, twitch.tv/TimmyBuddy. Follow me over there. So they said that they got a new music video to play. Hey, hey, hey. Starts to play. You see the front of Miz's elaborate house, and then Braun Strowman's music plays, and he comes out for his match. Strowman makes his way down to the ring, and then we get another Matt Riddle hype video. Didn't get the music video. Hey, hey, hey. This was a decent six-man tag team main event. It was Universal Champion Braun Strowman and Heavy Machinery against The Miz, John Morrison, and Dolph Ziggler. Only thing was, had to follow Bryan and Styles, and nothing could follow Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. The faces had the early advantage. Otis and Tucker gave Miz a double headbutt. Tucker gave Morrison a backdrop, but he landed on his feet. Morrison leaped off the middle rope, but Tucker caught him in a power slam for a near fall. Otis and Tucker launched Strowman into Ziggler. Otis and Tucker launched Strowman into Ziggler, who was in the corner. Tucker then gave Ziggler a standing vertical suplex. Suddenly, Corbin appeared in the back on the screen. He approached Mandy Rose. She was just standing around doing nothing. Corbin was mad that Otis and Rose stole the crown last week. Otis then ran to the back. Corbin noted that Rose is fantasizing about being with a man like him. Otis then appeared to beat Corbin down. Back from a break, the heels were firmly in control in the ring. Strowman and Tucker were on their own because Otis had left them. But here's my thing. We've seen Strowman take on 2-3 guys on a time. Him and Tucker are some big boys. You would think that even though they're at a disadvantage 2-on-1, 2 of them is like 2 of the others, or 3 of the. Well, how much? One of Strowman is like both Miz and Morrison, or one of Strowman is like both Miz and Ziggler. Then you add Tucker, that's like Morrison and a half. They really weren't at much of a disadvantage. Ziggler slowed down the pace with the face lock. The heels isolated Tucker and cut him off from on their side of the ring. Tucker broke free and attempted to tag, but Miz and Morrison pulled Strowman off the apron. They beat down Strowman at ringside. Otis and Mandy then made their way back down to the ring. Otis got the hot tag and ran wild on the heels. He launched Ziggler over the top to the floor. Strowman then ran around ringside and knocked everyone down with shoulder blocks. Otis then hit the Caterpillar on Ziggler for the victory. Fun little decent match. Couldn't compare to the Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match, but hey, it was all good. I think it got over the stuff for the pay-per-view with Strowman, Miz, and Morrison. And I just hope that now we're not going into Otis and Tucker, or Otis and Corbin fighting over Mandy. You know what? Corbin wants Mandy? I don't even know. But with that, guys, I want to say thank you for joining me here tonight to talk about Friday Night Smackdown. I do have some text messages I do want to read before we wrap things up. This person here says, if you could pick someone in AEW, I don't like this question because I get it, it's fantasy booking, but it's like, why fantasy book stuff? It's not even going to happen. But it says, if you could pick someone in AEW to take on WWE NXT, who would you do and why? Well, my response would be, but you said NXT, but it would be Kenny Omega versus Seth Rollins because that would be amazing. But if you're going to go NXT, Cage and Karrion Kross, because that'd be a really good big hoss fight. Or maybe Omega and Adam Cole, even though we've seen that before. Great show, but that title match was amazing. The start of the show was just so dumb. Yeah, I can agree with that. Mercer says, hey, Tim, AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan put on a hell of a fight tonight since AJ won the title. And who be next for AJ for the title, and keep it up what you do on YouTube and Twitch. Thank you for the compliment. And I think maybe next, if it was up to me and I do and don't want this to happen, I'd say Matt Riddle. But here's the issue with doing Matt Riddle. You know AJ ain't losing in his first defense. His first little program as the champion, he's not losing. So that would mean Matt Riddle comes to the main roster and all immediately takes the L. I don't like that. I think the match would be great in the feud, but I don't like that Riddle would have to lose. So I don't want them to go Riddle. As far as who it can be, that's a tough one. I mean, maybe Jeff Hardy if he beats Sheamus at the pay-per-view. Versus says, I highly doubt Bryan will leave WWE. I don't see any reason why he would want to leave. He's got a lot of aspirations on wanting to do things outside of WWE. And I don't know why he didn't leave before, but he basically almost let that contract expire. He came down to the last couple of weeks before re-signing. Daniel Bryan wants to go to Mexico and have a hair versus mask match, but he's got to regrow his hair out. That's why Bryan was growing his hair so long before. And he wants to wrestle in Japan again. He's said it on multiple occasions. Tim, are you going to bring the pod? I get that question all the time. What's going on with the Nick podcast? You got to talk to Nick. He's always busy. I can't control Nick's schedule. He's a big boy with his own stuff and a full-time job. Or says, do you see Bray Wyatt returning this Sunday or at Extreme Rules? I can see him returning next Friday maybe, or in 2 weeks, because we would have heard if he was on next week's show. Yeah, I can see it in a couple weeks. The person says, what do you think of Matt Riddle is debuting? Where do you see him being positioned? IC title, Universal title, do you think? I don't want him to go in to a title feud right off the bat, because he's going to most likely have to lose. He ain't beating Strowman. He ain't beating AJ. So don't put him in a title feud. Maybe he can do something with Gulak. Maybe he can do something with Daniel Bryan. I mean, him and Gulak had some phenomenal matches in Evolve. Just grade A matches, A+ matches in Evolve. So why not have him work a stiff style against Gulak? I can see it. But with that, it's going to wrap things up, guys. I want to again thank everybody who watched this here live right here on YouTube or watched later right here on YouTube as well. I want to thank everybody who has supported us here on YouTube by hitting that subscribe button or becoming a member right here on PW Unlimited. And also, you could support us on social media. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/ProWrestlingULTD, and follow us on Twitter at PW Unlimited. Also, you can follow us on Instagram. Just search Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Excuse me. You can also follow me on social media. Follow me on Twitter at TimmyBuddy, and follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/TimmyBuddy. So with that, guys, have a great night, and I'll see you live this Sunday following the Backlash pay-per-view. Oh, wait, speaking of Backlash, we're not done. I've got to give you my Backlash predictions. I plumb forgot. Let me pull up the full Backlash card before we do wrap everything up here. Also, I did forget to mention, they did note that Matt Riddle will be debuting on Smackdown next week. As far as Backlash does go. All right. So, guys, we got Backlash coming up this coming Sunday. I don't know why I said Friday, because the day is Friday as the time of this recording. We've got Backlash coming up this coming Sunday live on the WWE Network. And I'm going to give you my predictions for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches so far announced. So first off, we do know that Jeff Hardy will be taking on Sheamus. And if I had to make a prediction, Jeff Hardy. We got the greatest match ever with Edge and Randy Orton. This one's a little tougher, but I'm going to go Edge. In the first of, I want to say, 5 title matches with the United States Championship on the line, Apollo Crews defending against the guy that he beat for the title, Andrade. With that, I'm thinking, I could see Andrade getting the title back, but for prediction's sake, I'm going Apollo Crews. With the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships on the line in a triple threat, Bayley and Sasha Banks will be defending against the Iconics and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I'm going to go Bayley and Sasha. I'm going to go Bayley and Sasha retaining the titles. I think that's going to be my theme. Next up, with the Raw Women's Championship on the line, Asuka will be defending against Nia Jax. Ain't no way in hell they take that title off Asuka for Nia Jax. I'm going Asuka. Next up, with the Universal Championship on the line in a handicap match, Braun Strowman will be defending against both The Miz and John Morrison. There's no way Strowman loses. Ain't no way in hell that Braun Strowman loses the title. Braun Strowman retaining is my prediction, and Drew McIntyre defending the WWE Championship against Bobby Lashley. McIntyre gotta be keeping that belt. Old Bobby Lash, or as Rusev would call him, Bob Lashley. He ain't winning the belt. No matter what MVP does at ringside, he ain't winning the belt. Drew McIntyre retaining. So my prediction is all champions retain. And those are my predictions for this coming Sunday's Backlash pay-per-view. I almost said Friday Night Smackdown again. So with that, guys, those are, as I stated, my predictions for Backlash. So with that, I want to thank you guys once again for joining me here to talk about Friday Night Smackdown. Have a good night, guys, and I'll see you Sunday after Backlash.